I will begin with the official Winners Wednesday hello to everyone out there, and a special hello to all those that are joining us today from our social media channels at XM. If you are looking to take your trading to the next level, to build the right kind of trading foundation to become successful, man, you came to the right place. Doug Rumor is my name. Trading is my game. 25-year veteran. I am here for the next 60 minutes to entertain, educate, and enlighten you on all market topics. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want to talk about, throw it my way. Only going to be here for 15 minutes, though, for all of those social media viewers. So make sure you just stick with us, take some notes, learn. Glad to have you here today. Let me just say hello to the regular viewers as well. Now, this is going to be a special Winners Wednesday because this is the Wednesday of all Wednesdays, is it not? Today is the day we got the Fed meeting, the all-important Fed meeting where the heat is on and they're predicting a 0.25 interest rate cut, the first rate cut since like 2020, since the Fed has started hiking. So there's a lot of anticipation. This has been a 2-year process in the making. Some people think the market's going to do 0.50. And we're going to talk about that throughout this session and how it's going to impact the market. Now, having said that in the beginning, it's probably not going to be just full of opportunities because there's a lot of bets that were placed yesterday, a lot of hedges going on, a lot of shenanigans. So there's probably not going to be a lot of value until we hear this. And then after that, well, we're going to have to digest it. So I want to take this moment to kind of just talk a little bit about this topic. Again, if you guys have something specific, I want you to bring it up because I want to answer your questions first. But I also want to take a moment here to use this as education, as an opportunity to educate you on the stuff that you see. And one of those things is people always want to talk about news. How do you trade news? How do you know about news? All right. And my advice is simply this. None of us know what the outcome is going to be when there's news. Now, you can know that what the Federal Reserve is going to do, and that's pretty, they've been telegraphing for the last 15 years, I think it's been. I'm not kidding. The market has guessed what the Fed is going to do in terms of rates. And they're predicting 90% certainty it's going to be 0.25. So look, we all know that. We all know that is probably what's going to happen. If it doesn't, there's going to be epic turmoil. But the Fed, for the last 15 years, have been very, very consistent with what the market has. And they've been on a long streak. They're on the same page. So that's not the issue. The issue going forward would be the tonality of the Fed. Will there be more rate cuts? Will we see one at the next meeting? There was supposed to be 3 this year. Will there still be 3? How does the economy look and all of that kind of stuff? Now, when this stuff is being released and Jerome Powell is speaking, the Fed chair, they just kind of hang on every word. So what I'm saying to all the new traders out there or those that are learning this, what really separates us from gambling and turning this into a horrific career is the edge that we have, is putting ourselves in a situation that best suits us, where our risk is manageable, our reward is understandable, and things have a higher probability of working above 50%. When you start trading things like company earnings, ECB reports, or you start trading Fed, for a lot of people, you're getting into a coin toss environment where it's just a flip of the coin, 50-50. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And you can be taking some extreme risks that could be unmitigated. So it's important for everybody in most cases, most traders, is to kind of sit still for a little bit. Let everything settle. Now, certain times throughout the years, there'll be more tense moments in the markets where these moves will be exaggerated. But we can still gather the clues that we need with the market. So I want to start with the US 500 here, the S&P, and we'll look at a couple of scenarios that may take place with this thing as we progress through the meeting. This is the daily right here, and we're almost at all-time highs. It's kind of strange being in this game for so long that we're going to cut rates at all-time highs. That's very, very interesting. But really, since the highs were made in the early parts of July, we've been in a very, very volatile, even though this market is about even keel since July, there has been extremely aggressive moves on both sides. This is a very volatile market that's going through a very interesting period in its life. And you'll see far before this ever happened, right? It wasn't like that. You had these consistent moves, occasional drop, but very consistent moves. Hey there, Boyke. Nice to see you. And we've had this really erratic thing. Now, what I wanted to kind of explain for all those viewers out there, if you really want to be successful and gain that edge, one clue is the actual market itself. We're always pounding the table here at XM about market cycles because market cycles dictate behavior, how people will react. And when you see volatility, it's sort of, you could just scratch out the word volatility and just put emotional instead, right? Maybe it'll make more sense. The market that you're looking at is extremely emotional. And when people get extremely emotional, like you know somebody in your life that gets emotional, maybe your significant other, right? Maybe you get emotional every once in a while. And when we get emotional, we tend to do silly things, say things we don't mean, do things we don't mean. And same way when it comes to trading and investing. So where I'm going with that is there's this heightened sense of agitation since July. And we've also got a presidential election coming up in the next 45 days or something like that at the beginning of November. So you've got this Fed issue with the cuts. You got potential, you're going to have a new president one way or the other. So there's a lot of things going on to make people feel cautious. Having said that, that's going to translate into whatever the Fed says. It's going to be a more aggressive, exaggerated move than it normally has been. So we have to be prepared for that. And the best way to do this is always try to plot down these levels of what may or may not happen. And as I always say here with this, as we get started, I want to take a look at starting out with everything. Let me just clean this up a little bit for everybody. I want to start out with just looking at the previous day's highs and the previous day's lows as potential areas where we may end up. So it's obvious there's your high and there's your low. And what do you know, Boyke? You're jammed in the middle, huh? Isn't that interesting? And then underneath of this, you have a few different levels from a daily that may be visited. So we could potentially move down in here somewhere at the base of this one, or we could, in fact, break out and make a new all-time high and trade all the way up here to this level. So those are all possibilities. And that's what I like to do when I trade is factor in all of the potential possibilities, factor in all of the scenarios, and then allow the market to give you the choice that you need to make. Does that make sense? So instead of you saying, I'm going to do this, going to do this, and do this, come up with a plan for both long, short, come up with a plan for where potential pivots, potential scenarios, and then just allow what will be to happen. It'll make your, trust me, it'll make your life a lot easier in the long run if you do it that way. So that's what we'll start with looking at. Maybe we make an all-time high, or this sets the stage for an all-time high. Maybe this becomes a catalyst for a deeper, harsher correction to the downside. Again, anything can happen here, and we don't know how the bigger players in the market are going to want to review this. We know you're going to get a cut, but they don't know what Powell's going to say. And if it's Jerome Powell, like he always has, he can say a whole bunch of stuff without meaning anything. He can talk for 2 hours and not say a single word, it seems like. It's just a bunch of word soup, right? So again, there's a lack of edge there. And with a lack of edge, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Remember that. So let's start moving down to maybe a 5 minute here. And I would say before this, you're not really going to get a lot of, you probably get some movement, but to try to predict how this is going to go, it's going to be a little bit more sloppy. Some days you have higher edges than you have on other days. And this is probably going to be one of the edge days. But here are all those daily levels that we plotted out, the highs and lows from the previous day. And you'll see that you are maintaining so far inside of that range. So for me, what I would look at is trying to do business only in these selected areas. And you can even put one down here at the very base. We can find some smaller levels right there. I would look at trying to see what happens. So first and foremost is just Xing out areas that you're just not interested in button pushing, right? Like any of these, are just a no-go. There's just not an entry there at the start of the day or probably up towards the Fed. So there could be a opportunity here that a sell-off is created and it goes there, here to here. All that is possible, or you visit the breakout and then you move back up to all-time high. Again, it's all open. It's hard to tell. Now, the advantage would be bullish or to the long side because the market's been bullish all year. It's been strong. And you got to give the advantage to the bulls in this situation. So first, take a look at those levels and see where we may end up going. And not just that, as we'll talk a lot about in sessions. By the way, this is Winners Wednesday. And what do we do on Winners Wednesday, Boyke? Just decoding charts a little over an hour, right? And that's what we want to do, is look at those levels and how everything reacts. So that's the S&P 500 there. You're almost at an all-time high. There's been a rally this week into the Fed, into the anticipation, but it's going to be a little bit shaky right there. But the advantages are to the bull side. And as long as Powell doesn't screw it up too bad, say too many things, we should find ourselves moving back to the highs. If we take a look at something out like gold, how will gold react? Let's take a look at gold. All right. And we'll start with the daily there. And by the way, guys, I think it's time for me to sign off with the YouTube, with the social media. If you tuned into this session, I know it was very, very brief. We do these a lot on YouTube here where we're doing it for 15, 20 minutes. So I'm already looking down at the clock and it's like 20 minutes into the session. So we're probably going to get cut off here. Come back to XM and stay with us through the remainder of the session. Every day that the market is open, we're doing these sessions live. It's live education. It's not hindsight education. It's real-time education that can help you really clean up your trading business, or at least put the pieces together. There's numerous instructors here with numerous different strategies and theories, so you're sure to find the mentor that you need. So make sure you come back here with us. We're going to be doing this session for the remainder of the hour. After that, you're going to have other instructors doing it, and I'll be back later. We have both beginner and advanced room sessions. So I'm going to be signing off for right now. I hope to see you back. So there'll be a slight pause, Boyke, and I will be back in just a few minutes. So I'll see you soon.